Gotta love a good old-fashioned media cell phone. Media leap to defend Minnesota's Somali fraudsters, but trip over the awful truth. So yes, a cell phone. Multiple fake news outlets are circling the wagons for Minnesota's embattled and fraud-prone Somali diaspora, which is kind of sweet, but also hilariously inept. The effort covers all the bases, downplaying the scandal, deploying the classic Republicans' pounce trope, and even claiming Minnesota's Somali community is crucial to the local economy. I mean, they're definitely a big part of the welfare system. The funny thing is, the public relations campaign is actually doing more harm than good. Now, I love it when my opponents are this out of touch, when they hurt themselves in their confusion and I don't even have to do anything. Like, those are the best fights to be in, when the other guy is just punching himself in the face and all you got to do is sit in your corner and watch. Oh, that's okay. I'll wait until he knocks himself out. That's fine. The Somali residents face growing criticism as federal investigators accuse members of stealing at least $1 billion. Oh, I think it's been closer to $8 billion now. It's pretty bad. From Minnesota's generous welfare programs. And why do you think they ended up in a state like this? They purposely go to the states with the most easily milkable welfare. They do this in Europe too. Like, they avoid all the European countries that don't give them free gibs and beeline straight to the countries that'll let them leech. That's just what prosecutors have uncovered so far. Yeah, that also means that now that they're aware, they have time to clean up some evidence, shred some documents. The total could be much higher. It probably is. Since current year minus 387 people, most of them Somali, have been charged in fraud schemes, leading to 61 convictions. It's all quite shameful, and the recent reporting by Shitty Journal and others has caught Orange Man's attention. And now they're trying to about Orange Man saying things Orange Man says, and not realizing that doesn't work. His view of Somalia now mirrors his opinion on Haiti. This brings us to the latest chapter in the story, in which the fake newsrooms that played no role in bringing Minnesota fraud to national attention launch a PR blitz in the Somalis' defense. At this point, I think they should be considered accomplices. They did everything they could to bury the story, and now that the story's out, they're doing everything they can to run defense for the criminals. If that's not being an accomplice, I don't know what is. I mean, at the very least, it's an accessory after the fact. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune, for example, claimed the fraud price tag toted by federal prosecutors is totally inaccurate. It is. It's closer to $8 billion. Members of the Somali diaspora likely stole only $152 million, the paper huffed, before acknowledging the total amount is expected to grow as ongoing state and federal investigations into the state programs continue. Yeah, I just love this defense. Oh, come on, guys. They only stole like $150 million. They only stole a little more than a third of a Concorde. It's not that big of a deal, guys. Yeah, guess what? I could have liked to have some of that money. It was my money to begin with if I paid the fucking taxes. Gee, with local coverage this lax, it's no wonder the fraud is on track to be the worst in the state's history. Man, I wonder how this measures up on the national level. Like, what were the biggest frauds on a national level? Other fake news outlets have fallen back on the familiar tactic of focusing on reactions to the scandal rather than on the scandal itself. But you know this fake news trend well. It's the Republicans' pounce trope. The right wing has seized on fraud cases in the state, reported The Guardian. ABC fake news. Orange Man has seized on the ballooning controversy in recent days. So to summarize, it's basically they're noticing. How dare they? Communist News Network got creative, went to the Republicans' pounce sob story twofer. Anxiety grips Minneapolis, the Somali community, as immigration agents zero in on the twin shitties. That story doesn't mention the massive fraud schemes until the 29th paragraph, unintentionally alerting the reader to the minimization attempt and making it clear who's been guilty of looking the other way. It's not that they look the other way, like they're actively engaging in the deflection. They're not just looking the other way. They're the guys that are walking around trying to block your view, saying, nothing to see here, move along, look over there, nothing to see here. Like, that's the media. They themselves aren't just looking the other way. They're trying to get everyone else to look the other way too. They're an accomplice. Now, meanwhile, a couple of fake newsrooms have taken a slightly different approach, arguing that the diaspora has been outright economic boom to the North Star state. NPR, speaking of groups that like to hoover up public funds with little to show in return, shots fired. Aired a segment with a reporter from the Minnesota-based Sahan Urinal to get to the bottom of the fraud story. She assured listeners that the alleged, confirmed, and pending frauds are committed by only a small number of folks that don't reflect an entire community. Meanwhile, the entire community will circle the wagons around them, though. Isn't that weird? Like, isn't anyone going to question that? I think they should be. The diaspora has really helped support Minnesota's growth and business. The report concluded in her sign-off, increasing the population and helping a lot of other immigrant communities that are also here, though her spiel included no facts or figures. Yeah, it was all just an appeal to emotion. That's normal. Elsewhere in the local scene, a Minnesota ABC fake news affiliate took a similar track, this time with some hard numbers. Headline: Somali Minnesotans drive economic growth, pay $67 million in taxes annually. So they paid $67 million, but they stole more than $1 billion. Okay. That's fair. Yeah, it's okay that they stole $1 billion. Because they gave 67 million, it balances out. It's literally like it breaks even. It's literally the same. In fact, 67 is bigger than 1, so they contributed 67 more times than they took out. So yeah. I mean, it checks out. Yeah. An accompanying social media fake news blurb added some further details. Somali Minnesotans generate at least $500 million in income annually and pay $67 million in state and local taxes. Okay, but do you see how that actually harms the Somalis' case? Let's extrapolate the numbers. The U.S. Census reports there are 107,000 people of Somali descent in Minnesota. If we're generous and say each of them pays taxes, their per capita state and local tax contributions around $630. Yet the average Minnesota taxpayer paid roughly $8,050 in state and local taxes and sent $16,000 to the Fed. Yeah, that's not really making them look good, huh? So yeah, they stole more than they gave to the system, and they're not giving that much to begin with. Okay. Now, with the median household income of just $28,500, Minnesota's Somalis pay little federal taxes. Members of the diaspora have an unemployment rate of roughly 11% compared to the general state rate of 3.6%. And once again, though, it's important to keep in mind that these are only the ones that are looking. It doesn't count those that have long since stopped, of which there's quite a few. Then factor in at least 46% of Minnesota's Somali community lives below the federal poverty threshold, making them eligible for SNAP, Medicaid, subsidized housing, and other public benefits. Dude, if you count the benefits, then yeah, even if you include that some of them are paying taxes, probably not as much as their peers are pulling out. They're drawing legally from the state's generous welfare programs, but returning far less to the state on average. You know what? I take it back. Stick to the sob stories, folks. If you're out to do the Minnesota Somalis a solid, maybe just pump out your regular fluff praising refugees and immigrants as the fabric of our society and such. But my melting pot, this is the American dream, guys. Better that than to accidentally let slip how much they're grabbing out of the pot without paying a whole lot back in. Yeah, this ain't a good look, man. If anything, they've proven that the Minnesota economy would be way better without this community. Not allowed to notice that, though. Because if you notice, that makes you the villain. Now, we can't have that.